Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Web and Beyond Live. I'm Ray Sidney Smith, president of W3 Consulting and managing director of W3C Web Services. Excited to be here with you today. Today is June 23rd, 2020, and I've got a lot of action-packed news. A couple of points, though. I apologize about yesterday having to reschedule last minute, but we now have double the broadband here in my office, so I'm very, very excited to be able to have double the broadband. And secondarily, yesterday was internet. Today is our HVAC system. So the HVAC unit somehow, had a problem, and so they are here repairing it today as we speak. So windows are open, the trains are going by, and the HVAC unit is repair technician is here. So if there's any background noise or anything else like that, I apologize about that. But we're going to get through this. I'm going to make it through this week, and I'm going to do that by helping you all understand what's going on in the world of marketing and managing on the web and beyond. And so today, what I'd like to do is to talk a little bit about some of the news that's going on. I've got some cybersecurity news. I've got some news about retail sales. We have some numbers from May 2020. We have some stuff regarding Google startups and some really new, interesting tools coming out of Twitter. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about the AI conversation that we were talking about from last week. It's just starting that conversation about artificial intelligence and really what it's going to start to look like for businesses. So let's start off with the primary news of the day, which is that Google Small Business has announced that they're going to be doing a full week dedicated to helping small businesses for International Small Business Day. So I'm not quite sure when, but the United Nations General Assembly announced June 27th, some years ago, maybe last year, the year before that, as Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day. That's not pithy, but it is what it is. So Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day, June 27th, every year now, is that International Small Businesses Day. And Google is taking up the reins there, and they are providing a week of activities and so on and so forth for small businesses. If you go to google.com/small business, you'll be taken to that and go ahead and get the resources. They have a toolkit. They have all kinds of fun stuff. As you know, or maybe don't know, I'm the Google Small Business Advisor for Productivity, and so I'm here to help you if you have any questions about how G Suite works or any of those other tools. I am not tech support. So if you need tech support, go to help.google.com and you'll be taken to the Google support area where you can get help from the community team there. If you pay for G Suite, you have 24/7 support. You can call Google and they will help you within the G Suite environment. So remember that you do have those pieces available to you. But happy International Small Business Day come the 27th. And next week, I'm going to be putting out some content on behalf of Google Small Business and International Small Business Day. Okay, moving along, we have Dropbox out with some interesting new news. They have officially launched a password manager and what they're calling their own secure vault. So what this means is that if you do use the Dropbox service, Dropbox Passwords is the new password manager. And in essence, it's like 1Password or LastPass in the sense that it's going to be a dedicated password manager. Now, Dropbox is already managing your password to log in. So they have a lot of the infrastructure involved in being able to manage Dropbox account credentials. Now they're increasing that capacity to manage across all of your other password managers. Now, of course, you have a native password manager in your browser. You may even have one installed on your desktop machine, but those are paltry comparative to a dedicated password manager where that's its only purpose, right? That's capable of doing the security necessary. I'm a LastPass user and I will continue to be a LastPass user, but I'm very interested to see how Dropbox goes forward with Dropbox Passwords. The Secure Vault, though, is more interesting to me. It's going to be called Dropbox Vault. And Vault is basically a place where you can put sensitive documents. We know that for small businesses, ransomware is a real problem. It's not getting a lot of news, but unfortunately, it is a big problem for small businesses. They're being hacked into. People are installing software, then encrypting that software, and then holding encrypting those files, and then holding those files ransom, so that businesses have to go ahead and pay to have those files decrypted, basically unencrypted, and it costs small businesses thousands to tens of thousands of dollars in order to have that done, and it's putting businesses out of business. And I don't know why mainstream press is not picking up on this and talking about it more, but we do need to make sure that we're paying attention and that we're protecting ourselves from the ransomware. And I see Robin's noting, she said, "You've got this." Thank you, thank you. All with I always call it failing with grace. You always have to fail with grace, and so yes, even in the face of all of the challenges, you have to continue running your business, and so thank you for that, Robin. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. Ransomware is still a problem. We need to pay attention to it, and that's leading me to my next thought, next item, which is that I came across this search engine. It's called Spies, and tongue in cheek, but it's Spyse, and it's spies.com. And I'll put links to all of these in the description and the notes. But in essence, what Spies is a cybersecurity search engine. You can create a free account, and then in essence, any domains that you own, IP addresses, or any kinds of certificates that you have that are web-based, you can plug those certificates in, the addresses for those certificates, and it will identify any cybersecurity holes that you might have in your system. So you'll want to just start with your domain and your business domain, plug it into this search field after you've created the free account, and it will search the databases for problems that it sees with those domains or with those IP addresses. That is really, really powerful, and you can then start to mitigate some of the problems that might be existing in your website or in your domain registration, so that you can make sure that you have a more secure site. So really love that they're doing this. You can find potentially subdomains that you've that's been hanging around for some time. You just kind of forgot that they existed, and now you can go ahead and get this cleared up. Next up is just a quick note. I put a link here to a Forbes article, and so that you can go check this out. But on June 15th, 2020, the Small Business Administration announced that it was again opening up its EIDL program, and that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Grant and Loan Program. So independent contractors, freelancers, and gig workers are now eligible to receive a $1,000 grant that doesn't have to be repaid. So that's really good. They've also made it more favorable for small businesses and agricultural businesses to apply for the grant, and they're getting, it looks like, $1,000 per employee of the business, up to a maximum of $10,000, and then they have loan terms as well that you can do up to $150,000 or $2 million, depending upon some variables. I'm not sure what the variables are yet, but either way, check out the Forbes article, dive deeper into whether or not you need that under the CARES Act, and figure out whether you need the grant or the money in the form of a loan. But definitely, if you need it, start looking at the options that are out there. Now, about a month ago, we talked about that the numbers that came in, the retail sales numbers, and how shocking that it was to me that there was this high level of confidence in the rebound of the economy. And then in May, here we are with retail sales numbers. It says retail sales surge 17.7% in the biggest monthly jump ever. That's really it's kind of like a faulty premise here. What we have is it's going to be a staggered reopening, a staggered recovery, and we're seeing what was probably pent up retail sales opportunities happen in May, because we had different states reopening in different ways, and people were just trying to probably restock. They're trying to get their businesses back in play. I'm going to guess that once we see the June and then July and August retail sales numbers, we'll have a better idea about what we're really looking at in terms of a recovery process. So glad to see retail sales surge in the month of May. I think that we're going to see, again, a decline in June, July, and August, or some level of rockiness again, kind of like jagged lines in the graph. And I'm really concerned that people are going to think, oh, well, everything's back to normal and life goes back to normal. And that's not quite how I think that this virus is going to be kind of happening for us, and we need to make sure we are paying very, very clear attention to our own local markets and how our businesses is adapting to the local markets, but also how we're really getting ourselves online, getting our web presences online, and how we're adapting to a new online world. So on with less dismal news and on to maybe some more positive news, which is to say that I'm really excited about this. The head of Google Startups US, Jewel Burks, she announced on Google's blog, The Keyword, this was June 17th, that the CEO of Alphabet, the holding company that owns Google, they announced on June 17th that Google will be investing $175 million toward economic opportunity for Black business owners, startup founders, job seekers, and developers. It's a part of an initiative inside of Google for Startup Accelerator in the U.S. It's a virtual 3-month program for Black founders from across the country. So if you are a person of color, I really recommend that you check out this article and see whether or not you apply for the Google for Startups Founders, the Accelerator program. They also are creating the Google for Startups Founders Academy, and so there's just a lot going on. The application process ends June 30th, so you don't have a lot of time. So if you are interested in it, go check it out and go see whether or not you apply and go for it. I'm really excited to see Google putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. They're putting their values forward and supporting Black-owned businesses and Black founders. I'm just very excited to see the Black Founders Fund, partnering up and doing good things. So great news there. Next up is a bit of news about Twitter. So Twitter today is not today, but Twitter. Let's see, when did they do this? Starting June 17th. So this was just the latter part of last week. They put out a new feature within Twitter to allow for audio tweets. So this is on iOS only so far, but I'm hoping that they bring this to the rest of the platforms very quickly. In essence, what you're able to do now is open up the iOS app and you'll see a little microphone icon and then go live audio only. Now, you were able to do this on Twitter, going live audio only for quite some time. I could not find the feature in my own Twitter application in the past couple days, and I haven't gone directly to Periscope to see if that's just in Periscope only now or otherwise, but I'm a little bit concerned maybe that that they've gotten rid of it, but we'll see what happens. Either way, you are currently able to in the iOS app now audio record a tweet, and then I believe that it's going to transcribe it in the background for folks who do have different abilities, and so we'll see what happens there. But now you can, in essence, record a message and tweet that out. I think this is really going to be phenomenal, because then you can potentially have the duality, kind of the connection between having audio and then getting more of a message to your audience once you've gotten their attention with text. Then you can put something in audio that's going to get them the rest of the information that you want. I didn't see how long the audio messages could be. I didn't see a limit on the length of the audio, but I'm presuming there's going to be some length on the audio, maybe a minute or whatnot. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that's my news for what's been happening this week, and I wanted to just touch base on. I started last week talking about artificial intelligence and how small business really needs to start paying attention to it. We now have big data, we have big processing. For example, Google Cloud has access to you as a small business owner, the capabilities of the entire platform of Google in its own APIs for. Think machine learning, think their artificial intelligence tools, their translation, Google Maps, you name it, and you actually have access to it through Google Cloud Console. And they give every new Google Cloud user $300 to play around with the system, and you can start to play around with, say, their machine learning algorithm API and other tools that they have out there. And so what I wanted to do was to actually show you a little bit about what they do and how they do it, and that way you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the technology. And so I'm going to give you one example, which is this program called Virtual Beings. And Virtual Beings is brought to you by a company called Fable. And I'm actually nervous. I'm using a new broadcasting software, and I'm not quite sure how to screen share with it. I thought I knew how to, and then now comes the moment of truth, and I think I'm going to not screen share so that it doesn't uh, uh, drop my recording and otherwise. But I would highly recommend that you go to the link that I'm going to place underneath this afterward and check out the video of what they're doing. But in essence, this is storytelling, so this is fictional, but in essence, they are creating a story called Whispers in the Night, and there is a character called Lucy. Lucy is a virtual being. She's a character that is not real, but you, in essence, build a two-way emotional relationship with the character. She remembers what you say to her, and as the story moves its way along, you get to get blended into the story and the conversation. Now, what does that have to do with your business? Well, if you're in a business that deals with, story writing and storytelling and so on and so forth, that's obviously a natural fix. But for the rest of us who are service-based businesses or product businesses where that's not the case, that still doesn't mean that you don't have an opportunity here to use machine learning and, in this particular case, a virtual being to be able to extend the boundaries of your business. We're going to see more of this, and we're going to see more of it faster than I think most people are aware. And of course, big business is going to put millions of dollars into this and start to make inroads that we as small businesses won't do. But because the technology is now so readily available, we should be really thinking about how we take advantage of this. There is a character called Lil Michaela, and she's on Instagram, and I'll put a link to her in the notes. And she is completely fake. She is a 3D virtual being, and she has an Instagram profile, and you, in essence, get to follow her life and times as she creates her own posts. She's artificial intelligence, and you can see her emoting. She was recently a part of a benefit, a small business tribute benefit, I think it was, or maybe it was a BLM concert that she was a part of for Music Cares. But she's not real, but she is definitely making a real world impact. And so we're starting to see the infusion of these things into the world. So this is the most cutting edge. And I wanted to show the most cutting edge before I talk to you in future weeks about maybe some of the lesser cutting edge stuff, the things that you might want to use in day-to-day life. But I highly recommend that you check out some of the stuff that's going on here, because there are opportunities to touch base, to connect into this stuff more and more. And it doesn't take a lot of energy, and it could potentially be for customer service, for marketing, for operations. There are really some powerful pieces here that AI can start to do for us, and predominantly in the machine learning and natural language processing space. For example, there is a artificial being. Her name is Micah or Mika. And she was created by Magic Leap, and again, I'll put a link to Mika in the notes. And Mika is capable of, in VR, in a virtual reality space, connect with you and interact with you in real time. And she seems, for all intents and purposes, real. This is the direction in which we're going, where someday your business may have a virtual customer experience representative, and that person is going to meet with your clients, and you need to start figuring out how you're going to train them. And this is why I bring this up. Big data, or good data in, good data out. And machine learning and artificial intelligence has to start to take in data. And now is the time to start thinking about, what is the data that you are collecting about your business? Do you have an operations manual? Do you have a customer service manual? How do you manage the data that you are creating with your clients? If you're using, for example, web chat on your website, are you exporting that data so that you can save it now, so that in the future you can go ahead and train potentially some customer service AI bot to be able to help your customers in the future? We're investing right now in machine learning technology at W3 Consulting because we're trying to do some really fun things with both digital marketing consulting, strategy consulting, but also in our customer service space, and being able to have a virtual chat that facilitates people toward answering their questions. And I've been culling together all of the information that we've been collecting over the past 11 years. And that's really going to be useful for us in building out these apps. So I just wanted to make sure that it was on your plate to keep that in your mind's eye right now, which is that all the data you're creating, whether that be emails back and forth with clients, whether that be chat on your website or through Facebook Messenger or anywhere else, start figuring out where your data is and learning how to exfiltrate it so that you can set it aside in its own separate database, so that just files, putting them aside in a folder on your computers, and then maybe using Dropbox Vault to secure it because there's sensitive data in there. But you want to make sure you have access to it for the future, because as we move forward, you're going to want that data very soon. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking more and more about that. Next week, I'm going to talk a little bit about chatbots and what chatbots can do for your small business. And I want to just make sure that you're aware that first, you got to get the data. You need to know what the interactions are that you as a human and the humans in your business are having with your customers. And then you can start to understand how machine learning, natural language processing, and other types of artificial intelligence can be used to get there. Okay, so with that actually covers everything that I wanted to cover today. And that means we've come to the end of our time together this week. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat or go ahead and leave a comment if you're watching the replay. If you've enjoyed this live stream, feel free to hit the thumbs up. That helps us make new small business friends. And so thank you for doing that. If you have a question, like I said, feel free to leave a comment. You can also always tweet at me at W3 Consulting, W3 Consulting on Twitter. You can join us every Monday. It's usually every Monday, typically at 11 a.m. Eastern, unless otherwise noted like we did yesterday that we'd be another time. But usually it's Mondays at 11 a.m. So with that, thanks so much for spending this Web and Beyond live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith, and on behalf of W3 Consulting and W3C Web Services, have a great week ahead marketing and managing on the Web and Beyond. Take care, everybody.